Octane, what do you make of Michael Gove's behaviour?
I thought Michael Gove has behaved in an extraordinary way. It reminds me of student politics. I know Jacob pursued student politics quite actively with Michael at Oxford. I think you were Librarian of the Union, Michael was President. I can't remember which terms.
We didn't actually overlap.
Oh, you didn't overlap.
No,
but the difference is that Jacob has sort of matured from that, and I think Michael still thinks he's playing those games. I think it was extraordinary what he did, and I feel that I feel very let down.
And you feel that Boris Johnson is a great loss?
I think he is a great loss. I mean, he clearly had a huge, important role in the Vote Leave campaign. I mean, you smirk. But Vote Leave won against the odds.
I'm just grimacing in the light.
Vote Leave won against the odds. He was the leading figure, the most well-known figure. I think people who were on that side of the debate, which I was, owe him a debt of gratitude. Michael, it appeared, was going to form an alliance with him. I thought there was a real chance of a Brexit government, potentially with Andrew Leadsom. They ended up fighting with each other and doing deals and reneging on deals. And that's why I'm supporting Theresa May now.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, Anna Soubry said this was boys mucking around, and that's why it was time for a sensible woman like Theresa May. I mean, I'm tempted to ask what your nanny would make of this.
Well, Nanny doesn't normally comment publicly on political affairs.
She just goes campaigning with you.
She just comes campaigning with me. I don't think that's right or fair, actually. I think Michael Gove is an exceptionally able man.
He is.
I think he wanted to support Boris and decided that he couldn't. And I think people in politics are entitled to change their mind. As it happens, I would have carried on supporting Boris if he hadn't stood down, even though I'd always wanted Michael to stand. I think Michael is a superb candidate. But
so given a choice between Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, you would have chosen Boris Johnson?
Well, I'd already said I'd support Boris, so I would have stuck with that. But I think if as a senior politician you come to the conclusion that you've made a mistake, the right thing to do is to change your mind and say publicly, I have made a mistake. Nobody in their right mind would plot or connive to do this. It was just, as the campaign developed, Michael felt that he was the only person who could do it. And it is so important that the next leader supported Brexit, because we will not get a deal that the country will be happy with if it's done by somebody who supported Remain.
Do you agree with that, saying that the next leader has to have supported Brexit?
I think Brexit was fundamentally important. But more important were issues of trustworthiness and a sense of confidence that could inspire colleagues.
So have you decided?
And clearly,
who you're backing?
I've said I would back Theresa May.
Right.
And I think her competence and her record trumps the kind of schoolboy politics, rather undergraduate politics, that I'm afraid Michael Gove has pursued. And just to add to that, forgive me, the timing. Yes, it's true. People change their minds. It seems very odd to me that he changed his mind on the very day that the nominations closed. It was an odd coincidence.
Well, people have to change their mind before the deadline. That's inevitable.
Did it 3 hours before the deadline.
That's inevitable. People have to change their mind before the deadline for the close of nominations.
Doesn't it just look duplicitous to people out there?
No, it doesn't.
That he was prepared to fight with him during the referendum and tell people that this man would make a great Prime Minister. But then as soon as that was out of the way, knife him in the front.
But hold on, he didn't say during the referendum who would make a great Prime Minister, because everyone assumed David Cameron would carry on. He supported him for a few days and came to the conclusion that was a mistake. Politicians have to be able to change their minds. Politics doesn't work. If people say, oh, I said something a few weeks ago, I've always got to stick to it.
I'm not upset. I'm questioning the timing. There was a whole week, and he did the timing.
So you don't believe it?
3 hours. No, I don't. And the Evening Standard headline today was Gove knifes Boris in bid to be PM. Okay, it's a sensational headline.
So what do you think really happened then, if you don't believe this?
I have no idea. I don't know what happened.
You think this was a plan?
I don't know. I can't comment on it. But in terms of what you asked Jacob, how it's perceived, and perception often is reality in politics, it's clearly been perceived as a knifing, because that was the headline.
I think it's a bit difficult to be in the position of saying, I don't know what happened, but I believe it to be a plot. I don't think that is a logical follow-through.
Perceived to be a plot.
And I wouldn't base my views on newspaper headlines, that one wants to look at the details of what has happened. And it seems to me what happens is somebody changed his mind and realised that there was the future of the country at stake. This is so important that we get the chance to elect a new leader of a party about once every 10 years. It has to be the right person. And if somebody has doubts, it is much better to change their mind now rather than to discover in a few months that they have made an error.
We must leave it there. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you
for joining us.